Hello everyone, before we start the video, you might have noticed some logo on the front of the thumbnail, and this is not by mistake. I put that there on purpose. It'll eventually be known as to why I actually did that, so just stay tuned. We are going to get to that. Hi, my name's Dave. Welcome to Dave's English. I am an English language teacher from the Chicagoland area, which will be kind of important in today's video. And if you're ever interested in taking lessons with me, just go to my website, davesenglish.com, where you can go on the front page and register for lessons today, one-on-one with me. Not a course, not a big thing, one-on-one lessons. Now, in today's video, we are actually going to be reviewing English Fluency Journey with Anna. Now, a lot of you asked me to review this because you say that her English accent, or her American accent, I should say, is flawless, and she speaks quite well. So we're going to delve into her channel today and evaluate this. Now, there are a number of things that we are going to be looking at that I will be judging on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being that you have the knowledge of a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal, right? And 10 meaning that you are at the top of your game. So I will be doing these ratings for each of these categories. We're going to go through the categories throughout the video, so I don't have to explain them all at once here at the beginning. So let's go ahead and start with category number 1 when it comes to English Fluency Journey. That's the name of it, and vocabulary. Now, I am going to admit when it comes to a lot of these categories, I'm going to have to put an asterisk next to this category because I need a little bit more information. When it comes to vocabulary, I am going to give Anna a 9, but with an asterisk to that 9. And the reason why is that she has a good command of English vocabulary. She is able to express her thoughts clearly. She is able to go ahead and say what she wants to say. And I've heard a few interviews with her as well. However, I haven't heard her use necessarily complex vocabulary. I haven't heard her use words that are necessarily something that might make a B2 level speaker kind of think, I don't know what that word is. Most of the words that she uses are pretty common to spoken English, which to me, that's all you need. That's what's important. But if we're talking about a 10 as far as vocabulary is concerned, she is, I would say, at a 9. But again, I have an asterisk there because most of her content is geared towards teaching people English, so she might kind of keep it down a little bit. She might not use as much vocabulary because of the content of her videos, but I would like to hear more vocabulary and see what other kind of words she knows outside of the realm of conversational English. So I give her a 9 with an asterisk because it's pretty darn good. Number 2 is her grammar, and her grammar, I will give it the same score, a 9 out of 10 with an asterisk because there's just not enough data to make this determination because a lot of her videos are scripted videos. But I have seen a number of videos where she actually gives an interview, and I'm going to give her a 9 out of 10 because she doesn't make mistakes, with the exception of missing an article every now and then. These are the main mistakes that she makes. However, again, as with vocabulary, I don't hear a lot of advanced grammar structures or upper intermediate grammar structures. She just basically says things like somebody would say when they are speaking to people. And the way that she talks and the way that she uses her grammar is absolutely fine. I just haven't heard the complexity of a grammar structure that I would give somebody a 10 for. So she might have that. I give it an asterisk because I think if I had more information, if I had more videos of her where maybe she uses grammar a little bit deeper, I can make that determination. But 9 out of 10, that's pretty good. And again, give it an asterisk, give me more info, and my score might go up. But it could also go down, just so you know. Number 3 on the list is going to be pronunciation, and on this one I'll give her a 10. Now, if I were to have done this video 3-4 years ago, I probably would have given her a 7 because she did have some difficulties, but she's been able to overcome those, and she definitely now has a 10. Now, the problems that she had before was a very strong R sound, so a lot of people who come from a language that has a rolled R type of sound or a sound where the R is cut off will overcompensate in English and try to have a stronger, longer, harder R sound. And it comes out a lot harder, so it doesn't sound like their native language. And sometimes there's some overcompensation in this, and it sounds very strong. The second thing is connected speech. Now, if you look at a lot of her videos from early on, her connected speech sounds more like a slur, and this can be very difficult for people learning how to do connected speech, is to make it sound natural and not make it sound like it is slurring. So when it is sounding like it is slurring, like how you speak when you're drunk, right? It can be very, very hard to really understand what the person is saying, but she's been able to clean it up quite a bit, and the way in which her connected speech works now is flawless. So definitely a 10 when it comes to pronunciation. Number 4, I'm going to talk about accent. Now, yes, pronunciation is part of accent, but the whole idea behind accent is that it can identify you to a region or a place that somebody can listen to it and say, that person is from here, that person is from there. That's why people learn an Australian accent, or an American accent, or an English accent, or a Cockney accent, or a Scottish accent, or a Southern accent in the United States compared to a Northern accent in the United States. So you do have these variations in accents. And now I'm going to kind of break my rules when it comes to my system of scoring, because her accent is an 11. So yes, I know the scale is from 1 to 10, but I am giving her an 11. And this explains why I have the Cubs logo in this video, because one thing that she has done masterfully, unbelievably, is she has an accent and a sound that is just like somebody from, I would say, the south side of Chicago, the northwest Indiana suburbs, the areas of Michigan by Benton Harbor, Grand Rapids, maybe even part of Wisconsin. I mean, her accent is really, really good. Now, I know if you watch baseball out there, I know the irony is, yes, the Chicago Cubs are a North Side team or what. No, I mean, yes, okay. I have a North Side accent. So I come from the northern suburbs of Chicago. But what she has is she has a very strong nasal accent, which is very common, particularly in Michigan, Northwest Indiana, and the south side of Chicago, right there around the southern part of Lake Michigan, and then parts of Wisconsin as well. And that nasal accent, like this that she has, is very indicative of the region. So let me give you a few video clips of people who speak like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and put her clip at the end so you can see a comparison of what these are like. So listen to these clips.
Some Michiganders say this, and I am one of them. My husband disagrees, and when we first met, he literally thought I was like stupid.
I love my mom. She used to be a classics professor. Yeah, and she taught Latin, and my dad was a physics professor. My dad was actually one of the country's top Newtonian astrophysicists.
Every administration going back, because since Roosevelt, he had power in basically in the domestic policy, in the international policy.
It's another Speak English with Me video where you and I practice our speaking skills by having a conversation.
And to me, it's just amazing that she's able to nail this down. She sounds more like somebody from the Chicagoland area than I do, and I'm from the Chicagoland area. So the fact that she's able to do this, she can walk into a bank in Palos Heights in Chicago or in a Harvey or wherever, walk right in, they wouldn't even think she's from another country. They wouldn't even know it. Her accent is perfect. And this is why I gave her an 11, because you look at other people who learn general American accents and they are good. But in this situation, she has really pinpointed a region, which I think is much, much, much more difficult. And she actually, with that pinpointing of the region, the Chicagoland area, or I would say the general Great Lakes area, she's really made it that she can immerse and blend into society in the Chicagoland area. Now, I did look on her Instagram and other things, and I noticed a lot of Chicago stuff, so I have a feeling that she lives in the Chicagoland area, but I am fascinated. I am really fascinated. I really want to know how she was able to, just get that Chicago accent or that Great Lakes accent down pat. She did an excellent job. I know I'm a small channel, but if she ever wants to do an interview about how she was able to do that, hey, I'll go up to Chicago, we'll go to the Ukrainian village, and we'll talk about how you got that, because I think it's amazing that someone was able to get that specific of a regional accent, not being from here, going away from the general English to this regional. It's fascinating. Number 5 is fluency. I'm going to give her a 9.5 out of 10 with that little asterisk saying she could have a 10. Now, the reason why is I watched a few of her interviews, and interviews she seems to be a little bit slower, but I don't know if that's just because that is her actual speaking style. A lot of people just happen to speak slower, or if she's actually searching for words. She doesn't make mistakes. She doesn't make grammatical mistakes. The fluency is there. When somebody asks her a question, she's able to respond, though the little bit of delay in response makes me a little bit weary of it, but very little. She's able to respond quickly for the most part, which would be considered absolutely acceptable for a C2 level learner. So in this situation, I'll give her a 9.5 out of 10 because I'm not necessarily sure of the quickness or the spontaneity of her ability to answer a question or respond to critiques or something like that. The next one is going to be 6, and this is the feel of the language. And on this one, I'm going to give her an 8 out of 10. Now, this kind of goes more into the complexity aspect of how to speak English. Now, in the videos that I've seen that she has done, she speaks English well. She speaks it, like I said, fluently. She speaks it without any mistakes or whatever. But when I look at these, they seem kind of more like a little bit of a generic type of conversation. Now, I talked about Roman in a previous video and how he was able to use the English language and just really understood when to use the idioms, when to use the phrasal verbs, when to use certain other things that just made sense at the right time. Now, she might be able to do this. This is why I put the asterisks on this one as well. I'm not necessarily sure if she does know how to do that. So with this one, I'm going to rate it a little bit lower because I don't know how far she goes. What she has to me right now is what I would say the average speaker who speaks English well would have. I just don't know if she has the feel to know when to use slang and phrasal verbs and idioms in a way that they are, because she really doesn't do it, with the exception of her scripted videos, which in those cases you really can never get an idea if they know it, because writing something down and repeating it is just, it's kind of easy. Number 7 is progress. Has she been able to progress through the language? And the answer is a 10. Okay, she absolutely has. If you listen to where she was 5 years ago in her first video that she ever made.
Hi, English learners and everyone who's got interested in this video. So you guys learn English, know how to read and write, but when it comes to speaking, that's where you stuck.
And you listen to her now.
This video is specifically for those who have the clear and serious intention to improve their pronunciation and in turn their speaking skills.
It is night and day, and it's for all the reasons that I mentioned, especially when it comes changing the slurred speech to the connected speech. That is a big one there. The vocabulary has gotten a little bit better. The grammar has gotten better. So in those early videos, her word order and word choice maybe wasn't great. Now is absolutely spot on. Again, like I say, on other things I rate her a little bit lower because I don't know the complexity as much, but she does it right. So definitely her progress from the time she started to now is absolutely a 10. And number 8 are the resources and advice that she offers on her channel. Now in this one, I'm going to be a little bit harsh. I'm going to give her a 6.5 because, as I mentioned in a previous video, she does a lot of these conversation practice videos that I think aren't really beneficial for conversation practice. Now, a lot of people have mentioned in the comments of those videos that that actually can help for shadowing, and that is definitely true. If you want to know more about shadowing, I would recommend going to Anna English's channel, where she talks about that a lot more in depth, and how she, as a native Russian speaker, was able to then shadow to sound like the British sounding person that she is today. So I think that these conversation videos are really good for shadowing. However, when it comes to the other materials, there are good things. She talks about the third conditional. She talks about other grammatical rules and whatnot. She recently has stayed away from the don't say this and don't say that videos, and she's stayed away from these don't do this to sound like a native, or if you want to sound like a native speaker, talk like this. She really doesn't get into that sensationalism, which I really like. However, I think that she focuses too much on this conversation practice aspect of it that it takes away from the other videos that she has. So I rate this one a lot lower. However, when it comes to the potential of this channel as to being a true learning resource, especially for non-native speakers of Russian, and seeing her journey in learning the language, I think it has the potential to be much, much, much more efficient. All right, so that's the video for today. Thank you all very much. I just want to say that reviewing this channel has been quite interesting as someone from the Chicagoland area. To hear someone have like a Chicago area accent and to be able to nail it, wow, that impressed me. Her journey from where she was 5 years ago to now, night and day. Probably a person that I have seen actually improve the most. So if we take, let's say, Lingua Marina compared to where Anna was, I would say about 5 years ago, they were probably both at the same level, both at the same pronunciation and whatnot. However, Lingua Marina still sounds Russian, whereas Anna, she sounds like she's from the Chicago area. I mean, I'll tell you that right now. She has that. Well, maybe she doesn't have the South Side accent, but she has the nasal part. So I would say maybe she sounds a little bit more like she's from Michigan, but it's impressive. I would love to understand how she was able to do that. Get into, talking about this. So if she ever happens to watch this, just comment below or something. I'd love to, like I said, go to the Ukrainian village in Chicago. If you're in the Chicagoland area, I don't know if you are, but if you are, go there, talk about your journey, because how you've been able to do this is, pretty damn impressive to say the least. So thank you all very much. I hope to see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day wherever it is you are, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.